Welcome to Living the Dream, sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the podcast that brings together studio owners, dance educators, and leaders in the industry. Hosted by Rhee and Laura Giacomelli, each episode is packed with real talk, inspiration, and a passion for the dance life. We're so glad you're here. Hello, friends. Good evening. Welcome to our first evening broadcast of Living the Dream. I should say broadcast podcast, because now we are both of those things. I'm Rhee. This is the fantastic, phenomenal Laura Giacomelli, my co-host, and this is a special edition of the show, an evening edition. Laura.
That's right. This is our very first ever evening broadcast, and we couldn't think of a better topic or better guest to spend this time with.
Tonight's episode is called Where Are They Now? And we're sitting down with 5 incredible women who have closed the studio ownership chapter of their life. And both Laura and I are associated with these people and have been for a long time. Mm-hmm. So we thought we'd dabble into what is life after studio ownership and how does that experience influence your life today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to hear what life looks like after selling a studio, how they made the decision, what it felt like to let it go, what they've learned, and what they're now doing. It's a conversation about change, reflection, and what's next.
And I may not be quite ready for this, so bear with me. I'm getting ready. Before we I was going to run our Jackrabbit commercial, but I think I want to hang out and talk with you a smidge first. How's that?
Let's chat.
I want to ask you this, since we have these unique guests here tonight.
Yeah.
Do you ever think one day I'd like to sell, move on? Where do you land in all of this? There's a lot of talk about this lately.
Yeah, I think, and I feel that it's changed a lot for me personally, Rhee. I'm in season 14 right now, but with being a Gold Alliance member, I really found my work-life balance. I have really great staff, and I actually have, from a financial standpoint, I have like a whole financial team, and they literally said to me, you could retire in 15 years. That's what they said to me the other day, when you're 55. And I thought to myself, but would I want to do that? Like, that was my first thought. Like, what would I do though? Because right now it's, I go to the studio on Mondays, and that's my night that I teach. And I love the classes that I teach. And I've delegated things I don't like doing. And then I am still, there's things that I have to do that it's not my top favorite thing to do. But even with that, it's kind of like my life is a really good balance right now. I mean, it's a Thursday night before a holiday weekend. I'm at my parents' house in the Poconos, and the studio's running right now, and no one's blowing up my phone. I knock on wood, everything's calm. I kind of said to myself, I got this machine to this place that I don't know if I would sell it that soon. I think eventually, in my position with having a child with special needs, I think I would sell it. I don't think it's going to be a legacy studio that stays within my family. I could be wrong, depending on what Cole decides to do. But I kind of have a feeling that I'd be someone who sells maybe in 20 or so years. But yeah, I think that's kind of my goal at this point, to grow, to make it scalable, to sell it. That's kind of my big end all goal for sure.
I'm gonna say, how cool is it that you can be thinking that? Because in the, I'll say old days, I wish I had a better word, the ability to sell it and move on wasn't always there.
No. Yeah. I feel like, don't you think this was not, for so many years, this wasn't a real business. This was a hobby. This was a fun thing you did after you worked your 9 to 5. only I feel like the past 20, 15 years are these studios becoming like staples businesses large scale in these communities. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's kind of my area and the area that I grew up in. I don't think people really saw it as a career, if that makes sense. Even maybe some of the business owners didn't really see it as a true career. It was more their after work, their after 9 to 5 gig, you know?
Yeah. I'm sad that that is the way it was, but I'm so
Hmm.
proud of how far we've come as a field,
Yeah.
and the ability to actually build something that has value and can be passed on in whatever way we
Hmm.
choose, and that you can create a legacy if that's the route you choose. I think no matter where your school goes, you have created a legacy, whether it's within the family or continues on with a new person in charge.
Yeah.
There's this dance competition called the American Dance Awards, and I started it when I was 17, and now new ownership, new people, hardly
Hmm.
the teachers involved. But I look and I go, "There's a piece of my legacy. It's always going to be there, no matter
Yeah.
who it goes to." If that makes
And what does that feel like though? Like you're in this part of the dance industry now, but that's still going and booming and it's in its own lane too. Like what does that feel for you to see that?
I think what I feel, wow, I feel proud that it's still going, like that
Yeah.
it was inspired by my mother, my brother, myself, and
Hmm.
I ended up with the business on me and the responsibility for 24 years. But yeah, I love watching and seeing that it grows. Now, if you ask me if I would want to go back to it, no, 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 no. But which we may learn today from some of our. I
How many no's was that, Rhee? No, 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 no.
because I couldn't handle it. It was a hard life. I consider my those were during the years where you could travel every weekend, lift boxes, and get home on a Monday or a Tuesday and go back out on a Thursday. It's not the kind of life that I would want to do now.
I would compare that to putting on recitals every single weekend. That's like, and we all know. When I'm come Monday, I mean, my shows are on Saturday, so Sunday I like veg out. I like don't even leave my house for like 48 hours after my recital. So I couldn't imagine doing that scale of an event every single weekend all spring. Like, and now they're even pushing back to like January. It's like
Oh yeah.
it really is incredible when you think about that. Like truly.
I
And it's funny, I know Melissa is in that industry, so it'd be interesting to talk to her about that too.
mm, I wouldn't change what I learned. And Melissa
Mm,
will tell you that too. I wouldn't change what I learned because it's a piece of what I do now. Like,
yeah.
I just know I carry it with me. The lessons I learned. It's not
Hmm.
the same field or the same business, but yeah, I carry lessons that I learned through that experience and through those years as a
Yeah.
speaker as well.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so we got heavy into that, but to bring
How we
it
roll.
on. And I want to thank, hang on right here, I want to thank Jack Rabbit Dance. When we started the Living the Dream broadcast podcast, we went to them, really wanted them to sponsor this, and they came
Mhm.
on board, have been supporting us for a long time. And they bring something really good to our community.
Yeah, Jackrabbit helps dance studio owners run smarter, streamlining administration, communication, and class management so you can focus on growing your vision and taking care of your dance families, which is most important.
We will be back with our guests right after this message from Jackrabbit.
This episode is sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the dance studio software empowering you to build the studio of your dreams. With over 20 years of experience, Jackrabbit has the solutions and industry insights to help your business grow. Want to increase student enrollment, optimize your pricing to be profitable, or improve staff retention? See how other studios are using Jackrabbit Dance to hit their goals year after year. To learn more, visit jackrabbitdance.com/benchmarks.
I'm not muted now.
Hi, everyone. I probably have a script that I should be on, but can I say how cool it is to get all of you together and have this time together? I'm going to say that I miss you all, but I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. And real fast, Amanda Herring, give us a wave.
Hi.
Deb Steele.
Oh.
Kim Davis.
Hello.
Melissa Hoffman.
Hi, everyone.
And Ginette.
Hi.
Hi, Ginette. And I think I just took Laura's line on this script. So
Yeah, but we can keep rolling. No worries.
So you guys, all of you are, how long have you been out of your schools? Let's say since you sold and moved on. Deborah.
4.5 since I sold, and about a half a year since I've been involved.
Okay, so you're totally now, you've moved on.
I'm just a parent taking her grandchildren to dance.
Wow. I didn't know that, Deb.
Okay, Ginette, how about you?
It'll be 3 years at the end of June.
Wow, time moves fast. Kim.
A year and 5 months.
Melissa.
9 months.
Ooh.
Wow.
A newbie.
Yes.
Amanda.
My sale was final March 1st, 2024. I finished the season and then stayed to produce this past season's shows, which happened this past weekend.
Gotcha.
Which looked fabulous, by the way.
So fun.
I can tell you I was there. I can't tell you that often, but I was there and they were excellent.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Well, I have a question. So what led, and how about we start maybe with Amanda? What led you to start thinking about selling your studio and moving forward from studio ownership, and specifically?
So I was actually interested in being a studio owner. I was trying to figure out what maybe an exit strategy might be for me, but 5 to 10 years. So I was trying to kind of reorganize my studios so that I had teachers in place, admin staff in place, and I could do things like go to your parents' house in the Poconos whenever I felt like it. That's what I was aiming to do. As it worked out, I made a joke with a teacher who was a delight and very smart. And she was renovating a 1920s, teens, 20s era's home about 100 yards from the studio. And I said one day in jest, hey, you should buy the studio from me because you can just walk right across and be right here close to your house, and I'll go home and drink mimosas. And she laughed and I laughed and everyone laughed. And she came back to me and seems like we might have made another joke. And then 3 weeks later, she said, hey, were you serious? And I said, were you? And in about 2 months, we closed. So it worked out, and we both had an opportunity and we both took it.
Mid-year, you have that right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Was it mid-year?
It was mid-year. She was teaching tap for me. I had hired her to teach tap. I was the tap teacher. I'd hired her to do that, to take me out of the classroom and to start kind of just being administrative and managerial. And she was doing an excellent job. She's accomplished, educated, danced her life. loves it, has many of the same values and goals as I do, and it felt right. And the universe works that way when things feel right. So it just continued, and it worked out. And she's thrilled, and I'm thrilled, and it's great. We're all thrilled. Now, does that come with pitfalls? Yes, and I guess we'll talk about those soon. But that's how it worked out for me.
Amazing. How about you, Deb?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I
Listen
love
to
you.
Amanda. I was so
This is what I missed.
You weren't ready. It's okay. I'll try again. So what led you to start thinking about selling your studio and moving forward?
I think after COVID, I started thinking about it. I found that clientele kind of changed a bit. Work ethics, I thought, changed a little bit. And I had to do some self-reflection and find out if that was us, if that was just the next generation. I mean, I'd been in it for 35 years. And I feel like I'm kind of like Amanda in that when something gets in our head, we just kind of we go with it. I didn't delve too deep into it, only that I also had grandchildren now that were born. And I remember how much sacrifice that my kids had to sacrifice to have mama at the studio all the time. And so I was bound and determined that wasn't going to happen with their kids. If it was my way to pay that back, that they were dragged, poor Corey, dragged kicking and screaming, right, to a comp all day or that kind of thing. So I wasn't going to do that. That's kind of where it was. But the cool thing is, and I think we probably all can attest to it, that the all of my experiences that I had in the studio kind of time stamped my life. At the time, I was so young when I opened it. I mean, I was so young when I had my kids, like 21, and then I opened it when Erica was 6 months old. So we were growing together and learning together, and so I think it all time stamped my life in that it made me who I was. Without that studio, I don't know that I wouldn't have gone through those experiences. I wouldn't have grown the way that I grew. So, I mean, I thank God for all of it. I'm very happy to be out, but I thank God for all of it.
And really out now. I didn't realize you weren't even helping with the studio anymore. I didn't realize that. Wow. And then how about you, Kim?
Yeah, I kind of feel like Deb, 2020 kind of did me in. It was a lot. But I also, as much as I wanted to say had a work-life balance, I sucked at it so bad. I always had an unhealthy relationship with my business. I always thought if I wasn't there, it was going to burn down or blow up. I just lived there constantly. I could have slept there if I had to. So, and I knew that my kids, in high school, I have one that's about to graduate tomorrow. So pray for me. I'm going to be crying all day. But I just was really needing to be home. I just felt like I had same thing as Deb. I was pregnant with my first child when I opened the studio. So it's I had known nothing but that. And so I just have enjoyed my family dinners at night this last year and 6 months, 5 months, because it just, I had to separate. I couldn't do both. It wasn't working.
Can I just say, I don't know how I was 25 when I opened up my studio. I didn't have Cole until I was almost 35. So the first 10 years, I didn't even have a child. I wasn't married for the first 6. I feel like I couldn't imagine living both of those lives at the same time. I feel like those first, when people are like, oh, the must be nice you get to do. And I literally say to myself, the first 7 years, I lived at that dance studio. I taught 40 classes a week, some weeks. That's just what I did. But hearing you guys saying, I had a 6-month-old, I was pregnant. I couldn't fathom how hard and daunting that must have been opening up with small children. That's
Many
like I
parents,
tip my hat.
many parents in the lobby that rocked my babies to sleep at night.
Wow. Wow.
I think
incredible.
that's the truth. Even I, as a kid, it was moms in the studio took care of some of the things that I needed or we needed. Yeah, that is the truth. If you're the dance studio's kid, you become everyone's kid.
Also, Laura, young, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Do it. You
Yeah.
just do it. Right.
And you have a different amount of energy. I get that. Like I was tired having my first at 35. That was a different experience. I'm sure it would have been better at 25. I was tired. So it's just a different kind of tired. Doing both though. Like I said, I tip my hats to all of you because that would rock my world. Melissa, how about you? When did you realize that it was time to maybe start taking a step away from the dance?
I'm interested to hear her answer because there might be a couple times along her journey.
I mean, I think Rhee's right because he lived a lot of those moments with me. There was at least 2 or 3 times that I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm worn out. I'm tired. A whole lot of things. For the majority of the time, so I owned my school for 35 years. I did it as a single mom of 4. So there were many times there was full disclosure, hearts on our sleeve. I'm of Rhee's generation, so and Deb's. Sorry, Deb, the 3 of us. And there was twice I went to a bankruptcy attorney. I'm like, I can't do this. I have to support a studio and a home. I built my building in 2008, one of the worst economy crashes ever. And I credit swinging at Rhee's and keeping me in the game. And then an amazing bankruptcy attorney who cheered me on because I had too much debt. Imagine that, you guys, too much debt to do a Chapter 11. So anyways, there were all these leaps and hurdles. And then, we all got through 2020. I thought after that, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I had an opportunity. I had an alum who was with me. I think she started with me the second year I opened. She graduated with us. She taught for me. And then she herself went on and opened a restaurant for 10 years. So business owner, her husband owns a few businesses as well. But she has 3 daughters who are competitive dancers with us. So one day they came to me and they said, hey, if you ever have thoughts of selling this, I no longer own the restaurant and I really love being, in business. I thought we were looking at maybe a 2-year plan and I would phase out a little. But then one thing turned to the other. And we made this plan in March and it happened we closed August 1st last year. And honestly, I felt like immediately this weight lifted off my shoulder. I've considered myself having a successful studio, for sure. Beautiful dancers who go on to do things if they choose to, but also a really healthy rec program. And I thought I would feel more. I miss people. But I don't miss the day in and day out. And I realized really quickly that I've been living since 2007 or so in fight or flight daily. I'm a good masker. Those of you who have seen me around, I don't generally appear stressed, but I mask it well. And I have no regrets. I will say the building that I thought was my demon, because I built it in such a bad time and struggled to hold on to it, is now, my income stream for a lot of things. So yeah, I have no regrets, and it just worked out. It worked out that I had people in my life that could afford to buy something at its worth, and so that's just very lucky for me, I think, and the way it's supposed to be. And we're different. We're different. She's going to she grew up at a time and she understands the culture at our studio, but we're also different. She's more of a business person than I am. I'm like Kim. I had a hard time balancing business and personal life. She gets it. And so, and her husband get it. So I think that, you know, they're going to be more like you, Laura. And I say kudos. Like, I think, you know, taking that time is huge. So yeah, so that's, that's my story.
Thank you.
I want to hear from Ginette on this, but I want to say something about Melissa. One thing for those that are watching, it can turn into a roller coaster ride, the journey, but if you hang in there long enough, it could turn into a really awesome thing, because that's how it ended up, I feel like, for you, Melissa.
Oh, it truly. And I do think too, my decision to go forth right now was I felt like I was starting to get a little cranky. And I did, and I've watched people in our business who hate their business now. Like, you know, you can see social media is a wonderful place to look, you know, I can't stand this and I can't stand that. And I feel very fortunate that at a time when I was starting to feel a little bit like that, this opportunity came so I could leave when people still thought I was very nice. So, you know,
You are nice, Melissa. You are.
Thanks.
But wait, that's an honest reality right there.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Laura, take it away, because
Yeah.
I'll take us off course.
Ginette, how about you? When did you realize that you were ready to transition out of the studio?
For me, it was similar to others too. After the pandemic, my rent was a huge thing at that time. So my rent was not including any other expenses, not including staffing, not including anything else, was $24,000 a month. And yeah.
Where are you, Ginette?
I'm in Canada,
Okay.
in Vaughan, which is just north of Toronto. But even still, it's really high here in this area and compared to other studios. And so for a long time, I kept that up. But once the pandemic hit, it was, well, as you can imagine, really difficult to maintain that. Luckily, we did have some government support. So every month I had to reapply for government support, which was very, very helpful. It allowed me to continue the business throughout the pandemic. In Canada, we were closed for 14 months out of the 2 years. And so we were online. Sometimes we had to dance outside. I mean, you guys all know all the things that we had to do during that time. And so that was a part of it. And then I had to produce my recital. So the first year I did a drive-in recital. So we were at the drive-in theater and we put everything there. But the second time, I'm the one who filmed everything. The students were dancing outside. We had been online and they learned their choreography in studio. I think we were in studio for about 4 weeks and then we had to close again. But I had told my staff, teach them the recital routines. Like, I don't care what it is, just teach them recital routines. We don't know when we're going to be back again. So we did that. And then we danced outside in front of our studio and I filmed everything. I edited everything, like with my cell phone, edited everything. And then I produced our recital to be launched on YouTube. And about 15 minutes before we were going to go live, my computer crashed. And I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I called my daughter. She's younger. I'm like, you should be tech savvy, figure this out. But she had not worked with the programs that I was working with. She didn't understand it. And at that point, I started hyperventilating. I started having like a panic attack. And at that moment, and I couldn't breathe. And thankfully, I had done some personal growth. I had done some breath work. So I was like, okay, Jeanette, breathe, inhale. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 5, 6, 7, 8. And like I was just trying to concentrate on my breath. And at that moment, and then finally, I touched a few keys and it went. And a minute before it launched, it started up again and I was able to go and it went. But in that moment, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing to my health? This it's not worth it anymore for my health. And, looking back at how many hours I had spent away from home, and my daughter grew up in the studio. I was a single mom too. And she grew up in the studio. I opened the studio when she was 3. So she danced the whole time. And I felt really bad having to close because she started teaching and she's a teacher now. But I knew right there and then, like, I can't keep doing this because my heart was so into the studio. Like, I did everything for those students. Rhee knows, like, we were on calls every week during the pandemic, and we were coming up with all these ideas, and I just did so much that I think my body was just done. So I stayed open for a full year after the pandemic, and I knew I was closing, but nobody else did. I had conversations with another studio in my area, and we worked out something. So it wasn't a sale, but I kind of collaborated with them. And so I was working that out, but no one else knew, not even my daughter. Like, no one knew that I was that I was going to close that season. And so it was really hard for me, but for me, it was the best way to do it. I did it. We had a recital before our last competition, so it was just the way that the competitions went. So we had 3 competitions, our recital, another competition, and then I brought everybody in to our studio for a meeting, and I told them in person, and it was really special. But I'm glad I did it that way and that they didn't know, and they were actually happy that they didn't know throughout the whole season that I was closing, because they wouldn't have been able to appreciate their competitive season that year. And so, yeah, that's why I decided to close.
I just want to say, from living through COVID on the American side versus watching Canada, because being in Gold Alliance, I had multiple friends, we all did, who were Canadian. Watching it through the Canadian eyes, I would hang up the call when we would have Gold Alliance calls. I remember crying. Being like, something has to break for Canada. Like, something has to get. Like, I remember being open and just worrying about getting the numbers back up, and
Canada,
like, we're still closed.
We're still closed.
We're still closed. We're still closed. I'm like, it's been 6 months. It's been 8 months. It's been 10 months. And I remember just being on the calls and like, I'm not complaining about anything. Like, I would literally close my laptop. Like, I'm like, we've figured it out. I'm not complaining about a damn thing. Because listening to the Canadian owners, I was like, my heart broke for you guys. For
100%.
For months.
Ginette, shall I assume that day that you knew you didn't have to pay that $20,000 a month anymore was like you rose up to the sky?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I walked out on a lease, so I still had a lease. I still had 3 years on my lease, and I did that midnight, exit. I don't know what you want to call it.
This won't be broadcast, so anybody in the police force will hear.
It's okay. It's the corporation was on the lease. It wasn't me personally, so it's all good. There was nothing in the corp, so there was no. Yeah.
Wow.
So anybody can jump in first here. What surprised you most after you gave up the studio? What surprised?
I wasn't needed anymore. That really bugged me for a very long time. It's so bizarre to not be needed. Like, I wasn't waking up to 40 text messages and 35 emails, and like the sense of like crickets in my house. I was like, what is happening? Like, no one needs me. This is so bizarre.
But that's what you didn't like about it.
Yeah. It was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing to come to terms with. Like, I have nothing to do. Like nobody needs me.
Can I just add something about Kim?
Fuck a toilet.
But Kim, you were like the queen of systems and processes. You have a binder for everything. From being on lines together, you have a binder for. I remember being like, someday I'm gonna have my stuff together like that, Kim. Someday. Some days when I sell it in 20 years, that's gonna be my deadline. You had it rolled out like that. You could literally be like, this is how I do it. There you go.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about the groundwork that you rolled out for your business, because you had it all written down. Like that's what true businesses have. You know what I mean? Like they have everything on paper. So the next person, when they sell it, can come in and it's all written out for them.
And
I mean,
still what I'm doing now. I have kind of doing that now for my family's business, kind of rolled into systems and processes for that too. So
there you go. And
awesome.
You have the experience. So what you miss is not being needed. How about you, Melissa?
I feel like I don't miss not being needed. I kind of like it a lot. I love being under the radar. I don't need to do that anymore. But I will say for me personally, because we all know we work so much, that I have yet to figure out how to say no, so that like now I'm overbooked again. So like now I'm like, all right, wait, you did this so you'd have more time off, and now you're overbooking yourself again. So so that's yeah. So
That's interesting.
I know most of you know this about me, but I've also been a dental hygienist for 40 years. So I am back. I always did a day when my studio grew, and when I opened my studio, I did that full time. So I'm back in dental hygiene 2.5 days a week. I work at a practice that I can walk to. It's only pediatrics and special needs, which is my specialty. And I promised myself when I semi-retired, I'd become what they call a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate. It's a guardian ad litem for foster kids who have been removed from their homes. And I was kind of led to believe it would be less time than it actually is. And I do feel like I'm making an impact and a difference. But now I feel like I'm doing too much. So I have to refigure that out again. And neither of those things am I in charge, which is kind of nice too. I walk out and I'm done, and I don't have to be in charge, which is nice. Yeah. But I'll figure that piece out. And I still have my competition, Laura. Yes. Yeah. So
what surprised you most, Deborah?
Surprised me. I don't know that I was surprised by anything. The whole being needed thing, I think, is total perspective. I'm like Melissa. That day that I said no more, no longer am I responsible for anyone else's paycheck, whether they can eat or not eat. That was too much it became too much of a burden to bear. And like Ginette, I was starting to have anxiety attacks too. But I didn't know they were anxiety attacks. So they kind of look like heart attacks, really. And the health was starting to become affected because I'm a huge empath and I don't like to say no. And as much as everyone thinks I'm a hard ass, I'm such a marshmallow on the inside. I'll do it for anybody and just assume that everyone feels the same way. And so I had this the hard time between a client and a friend, and I didn't know the difference. I learned it, but it didn't help.
Those of you who stayed involved, do you find yourself like it was very funny working the recital, because I called show and ran backstage, and you have to pause that moment and go, oh no, I'm no longer in charge. You have to go ask so-and-so. Like it just like, and you're about to answer it and you're like, oh no, you'll have to go ask so-and-so. And everyone kind of tilts their head at you, like, not my show.
Calling the show. Sitting in the audience watching the show. So it'll be neat.
Yeah.
The first year.
Yeah.
How about you, Amanda?
Well, That I was actually surprised because my health was also starting to go because of stress and being so busy. And I make the joke a lot. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a surgeon, but man, did we grind. And I felt like I was grinding
Mm.
24 hours a day for 350 other people and kind of making family and all that fit, which was okay. My family was very supportive of it and good about it. And I'm a business person, so my studio runs amazingly. But I was surprised at how much I missed being needed. Like, it's about love and
Mhm.
motivation for me. And I'm a motivator and I'm a speaker. And when I walk in, everybody grows 3 inches. And when I talk, people listen. And when I hug, they hug back. And um, I didn't realize how important that was to me. And then I'm told by the studio that I didn't realize how important that was to them. So they would say things like, "Are you going to come in and talk to us tonight?" Well, I don't know. I'm like, Melissa, you'll have to go ask her. I don't know if that's what we're doing. And I want to respect my new owner. I don't want to.
Right.
It's hers. I don't want to step on her toes, and I want her to be able to lead her group and establish herself and make her way. But at the same time, there was always this desire from my pack for me to come in and for me to love them and say the things that I say and lead them the way that I do. So I was surprised at that. um human beings, human nature, and a turnover and an evolution, but it was still not something I anticipated. So
Mhm.
coming off this weekend and thinking about the future is interesting for me because that's the part of that I miss, and I could tell it was missed. So it happened on both sides like that.
Because I was there this weekend, one thing I noticed was the Saturday night show. I didn't see you come out at the beginning and greet the audience, but on Sunday you did that on both shows. And I thought the audience was so much more receptive.
They were. And you know what? I asked it, do you mind if I go out and fluff or did you have plans to go out and fluff the audience? And she said no. So I said, okay. And I told her this, and I said, you didn't say no, but you go for the audience. And so I didn't. Like, I stayed in my lane. But then she goes, no, of course you can, if that's what you want to do. So that's why I did that on Sunday. And I enjoy doing that. And the audience enjoys that. And yes, they were more responsive, and it was a good time.
Yes.
Mm.
So those of you watching, looking for a tip, fluff up the audience a little bit.
It is good to go out and tell your afternoon audience who probably just ate Mexican that they need to wake up a little bit, sit up in their
Right.
seat, get ready to clap. Yeah.
And they did.
They did.
Ginette, what surprises you since giving it all up?
I think what surprised me was, well, first of all, dance has been my life. Like, I started dancing when I was 3, and it's been a huge part of my life. And then opening up the studio was a lifelong dream of mine, and then I ended up doing that, and it was just so amazing. So after closing the studio, it was like losing a child, right? Like, it just felt really heavy. However, I feel like what surprised me is that I don't miss it. Like, I don't
Wow.
I don't miss it, because I get to be involved in any way that I want to be involved in dance in general, right? So I get to, with the studios that I collaborated with, I get to go to the competitions when I want to. I get to participate in whatever I want to support the students. I can adjudicate now, which is something I love. I love watching dance. I just love it. So adjudicating is really fun. I get to do that. I couldn't do that when I owned the studio. I was so busy on the weekends. Like, I just couldn't do that. And I get to enjoy even being a mom and watching my daughter, who now teaches, well, she was teaching at my studio too, but who's a teacher somewhere else, and I get to support her as a mom and not as the studio director. And it's just different. Like, I enjoy what I'm able to do now around dance. And so I was surprised that I didn't miss it as much as I thought I would, because I had it for 24 years and I just thought it would be something that I would really miss.
Hey, Rhee, on the weekend, Ginette, this is funny that you said that. I had 8 emails after my second show. 8. They were sales emails, Regold emails. None of them were parents complaining, asking me for anything. No text messages.
Yep. I left my phone at the theater. Can someone go find it for me? None of those emails.
Yes. No one was mad at me about something silly. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't miss that.
The first vacation I took with my husband, I left my cell phone in the hotel room the entire day. I cannot tell you the last time I have ever done that.
Now, a year and some out, I don't think there's been a day yet that I haven't thought about dance or haven't thought about the studio. I've used to say, wonder how long it's going to take before I get up in the morning and go to bed at night, and I haven't thought about dance or the studio all day. I don't think I've had that yet. But on the day of open registration last summer, I was getting my nails done. It was amazing.
I have
awesome.
to think that, and all of us can
That's
probably
amazing. Yeah.
all of us can probably attest to this, is that around 2:30, 3 o'clock, there's no butterflies in my stomach thinking I got to get ready and I got to go.
Well, you're actually like tired at that point in the day because you've already
go on sale, and I'm like none of that. What's my registration for the summer going to be? Those are all the things I equate it to. Imagine, because you're doing something you love. So imagine it's trick or treat every day, and every 4th day you have to have a root canal. And
yes,
so I kind of equate it to those root canals are just out of my trick or treat. That's what I equate it with. I don't want any more root canals like that.
Especially the unexpected
You are the
ones.
best. You are the best.
You hesitate to open that email because there's going to be a root canal in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Around it. You're scared to pick up that phone because it's going to be a root canal.
Yes.
Okay, so here I want to know if anybody is thinking like Shannon is. I closed my studio for 8 years and then reopened again. Anybody on that?
Wow.
Yeah.
The heads are all shaking right to left. All of you.
Can I say hell no?
Nope.
You're the newest one out.
Okay, you go ahead, Laura. We have more questions. We're actually falling a little behind here, but it's fun.
Do. Yeah. So we kind of hit on this a little bit already, but I would love to know what each of you are doing now and how that transition has felt going into maybe a position where you are not the boss or the owner, and what that feels like. Kim, let's start with you.
So I kind of started working part-time for the family business. Like my whole family has their own company, and I haven't worked there since college. Jumped in and started doing marketing because everyone was like, what is Facebook marketing and what is lead generating forms and but I'd done all that with Gold Alliance. So then I started doing their sales and marketing, and then built them a website. And then it kind of transitioned into a weird niche of different small businesses that we sell to. We're going, wait, who's doing your sales and marketing? Can I get some help? And so now I'm managing like 6 Facebook accounts and setting up websites for people on the side. So like I'll sit and design websites, and it's kind of turned into its own little niche because small businesses, I was lucky to have Gold Alliance, and we were learning every Friday all the new things. Like technology is ever changing, and a lot of these small businesses, minority owned, some don't speak English, so there's an intimidation factor there of like wanting to learn and wanting to figure out, but just don't even know how to get started. So I've kind of just been educating them on like, this is Meta Business Suite, and this is how to get, clients. And so it kind of turned into now I'm teaching people how to do social media.
Incredible.
It's a
Incredible.
commission that goes to the Gold Alliance on that. I don't
Right.
know if you remember that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, we learned so much. I just feel like like there are things they're like, what did you used to do? I'm like, I was a studio owner. I just was in Gold Alliance.
That's awesome.
We just learned all the things. Yeah, there's
Love
your
it.
there's your commercial for Gold Alliance.
Exactly.
Appreciate
Even
that.
post studio ownership, we can still get you jobs. You're good.
Yeah.
Deb, how about you? What are you doing now, and how has that transition felt?
Well, I'm again watching the kids a lot, and I can be called at the last second, and I can go get Livy if she's not feeling well at school, and her parents don't have to come out of work. Like all of those things for me. I'm waiting for a long time to be a nana, and so this is just like the absolute best. I mean, I've waited my whole life to. Swear to God, I'm not the same person I was as a mother. I'm such a bad nana. Ask the kids, they'll tell you. But I think that because I can give them back probably. But my husband just went through some heart surgery. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to figure out how that would have looked if I owned the studio. I know how it would have looked. I would have tried to find people to come and sit with him because I would have felt like, Kim, I need to be there. It's recital time. It's the worst time of the year. And so there's not a bone in my body that feels like I did the wrong thing. Like it had to happen now. It had to happen now for me because this is where my life is. And I don't want to make it sound like my life throws me around and I just kind of, land where I land. There is some planning, but I do try to go with what I feel in my gut is the right thing to do. I don't try to think it through so much and dissect it and make a list. Like that's just not me. It never has been. I tried to find a space and a studio while I was working at Mass Electric. While I was sitting there, I thought this might be cool. And I just went on and just kind of looked for spaces, but it wasn't anything none of it was planned. None of my life yet has been planned, but it's been great. But not one day has been planned.
Except for being a nana, you said?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
I do want to say and Melissa, because you put us all in the same category. Could I say, did you ever think you'd be a nana? I can't believe you're a nana. Like, I know you have grandchildren that are above babies, but I think about our generation and think, how the hell did this happen that we got to this age? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, having your children at 21 and 22 helps that too. So.
Oh, yes. You're much younger than me.
That's true. That's true, Deb, because I'm waiting because the minute that happens for me, I quit every job I have right now.
Good. Do it.
So I can do the same exact thing. I'm just waiting for one of my children to jump into that arena. We'll see. They're waiting like me till they're older.
I'll see if I can't segment a clip out of that, pull that out of this and send it to your children, Melissa.
Right.
Thanks. Well, but wait, Rhee, the baby is about to turn 27. The baby,
Yikes.
the baby that I showed you, the ultrasound on the hotel elevator at the Marriott Marquis. Yep.
Okay, we'll tell this story real fast. We're going to end up overtime here, but who cares? We're at DMA, New York, and Melissa had already had 3 kids, and I was the president or going in as the president, and you have to appoint all these people onto committees and running different events. I go, Melissa, will you run, I don't know what it was, Teen Mr. or Miss Dance for me? And she reaches in her pocketbook and she pulls out what do you call ultrasound picture of baby number 4 and said, I can't do it.
Wow. And this is my ticket out.
Yeah. And that baby was born on my birthday.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So funny. So funny.
That was 26 years ago. Whoa. Okay,
Wow.
What was the question we were just on?
So what are you doing now, and how has that transition felt? Melissa, I feel like you kind of touched on this a little bit,
I
but
did.
anything you wanted to add to it?
I just think too that we joke about our age and things, but we transition to the next phase too. So we're taking care of parents and and that was something that was increasingly happening to me during when I still owned the studio, and it's still obviously now. So that does give me the freedom to be at these appointments weekly with my mom and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I shared with you, I'm back to cleaning teeth, and I'm advocating for kids in foster care, and and loving that. I expanded my competition a little, but I made a conscious decision that it won't go beyond New England. And I did a little more judging this year. I used to, back in the day, judge every single weekend, and yikes, I could, my body was like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. But this year I judged 3 whole events, which was a lot for me in the past 10 years or so. And I'm loving doing it now because it's not, I don't get home and, have to go running back to the studio. So it is nice to do that at this point.
I love that. And I feel like too, it's like in the dance world, we're very lucky. Like we can still, like Ginette, you were saying this earlier as well, being a judge or going into the studio again and teaching for someone else, or working with studio owners on their websites. Like there's so many avenues for us beyond just owning a dance studio. If you want to get out of that world, like you can still be in this world, but not be so in charge and have that level of stress. Like, I mean, Deb, you were saying, you're like, I thought I was having heart palpitations. I was having a panic attack. Like, I mean, that's, I remember feeling that way during COVID. Like, I was like, how am I going to make this happen? I have to save this. I put too much money into this. This can't fail. So that level of stress when you own, I'm sure any type of business is going to be there, but I think it's really neat that the dance world, that there's so many other avenues for us, whether it's judging, whether it's teaching, setting choreography, whatever it is, there's so many different ways to still stay, whether it's sitting in the living room watching your grandbabies fall in love with dance. There's so many different ways, to still be in the dance world, which is really cool.
And our skill set's unique. I think my resume is on LinkedIn, and I'm going to tell you, I get job listings for event planners. I get job listings for college professors, which I think is really interesting. But it's just because I think my picture has me with standing on a stage presenting. But we have an interesting skill set like that Kim found. I mean, that not everyone has, and organizational skills, and in particular.
Yeah.
I will say dance never will leave any of you. It's once it's in your blood, it's there forever. But there are definitely new ways to explore it or be a part of it than being under the pressure of being responsible for everything.
True.
So I would like to, I'm going to call this rapid fire. I'm going to go with the last 3, Laura.
You got it.
Okay. Quick answers. Mornings now calmer or just different? Amanda.
Calmer.
Deborah.
Non-existent. Yeah, I don't get
Non-existent.
You sleep, you wake up at noon, Deb? Is that what we're saying?
Non-existent. I think I want Deb's life. There's something that's becoming very appealing after this talk. Ginette, mornings calmer or different?
Calmer and different. I enjoy mornings. I enjoy them. I used to sleep in, but now I don't. So yeah, I have a morning routine, which I didn't have before.
Good for you. Melissa.
Different.
Kim.
Different.
All right, so it's me. Do you still dance in the kitchen? Yes or no? Amanda.
Yes.
Deb.
Yes.
Yes. Throughout the house.
Love it. Ginette.
Yes. The kitchen,
Kim.
the living room, the
That was
hallway.
Yes,
a definitive yes there.
everywhere.
Yes. The grocery
Kim.
store.
Yeah.
I
love it.
dance in the kitchen. I dance in the kitchen.
Kim, how about you?
Oh, for sure.
And Melissa?
Yes.
If you could give your past studio owner self one sentence of advice, what would it be? I'm changing this up. Ginette.
Wow.
That could
There's
be your
life
answer.
after studio ownership. There is life after studio ownership. Yeah.
Kim.
Keep going.
It's not that serious.
Ooh, say that a second time.
It's not that serious. I think I blew up so much stuff that was not anything to be blown up.
Ooh, Deborah.
Along with Kim, it's never as bad as it seems, ever. There's always a solution. And I wish I had that, because I'm saying, I think Kim and I have the same personality. We're like Uber personality, like over the top with everything. There's no calm medium person. It doesn't exist.
I agree with both of those statements. Amanda Herring.
I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. The times that I was raked over the coals, the times that I was treated badly by a competitor, the times that children left me, the times I had a teacher issue, all made me better and love bigger and deeper. And the situation that I'm in now, when I think back about how that studio started, I wouldn't change a thing. It's exactly what I needed when I needed it. And now I'm surrounded by the most beautiful community in the whole world. Best job ever. I wouldn't change anything.
You're awesome, my friend.
You are. I don't want to say a word now. No, that was
We're
beautiful.
taking a pause from Melissa here.
I think that I would say to my younger self, I will mimic him, not take it so seriously, like the problem so seriously. And I wish I had found my work-life balance a little earlier in the game. But aside from that, I think that all the things, even the lows on the roller coaster, brought me to where I am today. So
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been an eye-opening conversation. I had a feeling that it would be. You guys are awesome. And, you all possess that passion still, even though you're using it in different ways. There's always a next step to the journey.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. Whether you're just starting your studio or thinking about the long game, tonight shows us there is no single path, and you can build a career that grows with you.
Thank you to Jackrabbit Dance for being our sponsor and making this episode possible.
Yep. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight on our very first evening episode. You can catch the replay anytime or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. This was a blast. I miss you guys, and we're going to do it again. Like, where are you in 5 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep doing what you love to do and keep living the dream. And thank you again to Jackrabbit Dance.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode of Living the Dream. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance, for their support of our community and helping dance studios thrive. If you loved today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your dance friends. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep dancing, and keep making a difference.